And Secretary's report.
And I guess the meeting is being recorded because I'm too lazy to write down anything.
We're handing out the minutes of the last meeting. We'll give you a few minutes to read them for yourself unless you want them read. Do it either way. You should have all picked up the agenda that was on the back page. Everybody got a copy of the agenda? I don't. Back we go. Betty, have you got the treasurer's report too?
No, I didn't.
Oh, Eugene's got it, okay. All right. We welcome you all, and nice to see so many out. It's a very nice day outside, but it's nice to have a crowd here. With that, I'm going into zoning next. We in Clearfield have started our zoning. The question I had from Gene was, how did you say it? Well, first of all, you gotta decide if you're gonna go into it. And then what we did, we contacted Connie McKenzie, and Terry and I met with her for a couple hours going through ads. Well, then she took our corrections and made it into a, condensed it a little bit, what we didn't want and what we did want. And we went from 64 pages to 50 about. If you read it the clears down paper, we had two ads in there, 2 weeks of ads on March 6th and March 13th. Then we read that at the, and then we had a zoning meeting after our annual meeting. And guess what? We only had three supervisors and I were the only four that were there for the zoning meeting, which was a disappointment. But we kind of went through it a little bit. We're meeting again on the 13th with our equalization, but I just found out today that can't be done because equalization is a thing by itself. So that's where we're at. After we get done with our changes that we want to make, then it goes to the state attorneys to get his approval of it. On top, you have to go to the health department in Bismarck. So it's a long process, people. But we in Clearfield felt we had to do something, being Griggs County wanted to avoid theirs. So, any questions on that? Before we move on. That's condensed, I know, but it's a start. I did have a little bit. Yeah, I did have. Getting back to the minutes. You have the minutes in front of you. You want them read or you can all read this yourself? Hearing none, motion to okay the minutes? Lori?
The only thing I want to say is you need to correct Wayne's name up there. They gave him a D in first.
You're talking on the minutes?
Yeah, it's up to people in attendance in the second line.
Okay, it should be spelled different.
There's no D.
Oh,
It's just Wayne.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's Wayne, right?
Yeah, it's just Wayne, but they put a D in front of it.
Okay, I'll make that correction.
Any other corrections that you see on this? Hearing none, I'm asking for a motion to approve. Say your name, please.
Lee Ray.
I know you guys by face, but please, I don't know, I can't call your name. So this is being recorded, and let's go by names on this, please.
Lee Ragerman.
Leader Egerman made the motion to accept minutes. Second?
Kim Zemprick.
Okay. Jim Zemprick, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Treasury reports, I believe that's also handed out.
Our expenses are listed, lunch and ads, costs $70. Expenses for you to the annual meeting, will look to be 85. Balance on it is $612. And there's 11 townships left to submit their $150 dues and $20 for the ads in the paper, a total of 70, which would be another $1,800.
Any questions on the treasury report? Now a motion to approve.
Don Usel will approve.
Okay, Don
Usel.
Uso, all approves. Second to the motion.
Big name.
Second to the
Second.
motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Give your name.
Wayne Sarver. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, next on there is North Dakota Township Office State Convention Report. I lost my thing, so I had to have it here. We'll try to do as best I can. Most of what happened is covered in the grassroots report, but you all should have a copy of this. One thing I found interesting is the retroactivity of signing, which Wayne will talk more about. Also, there is a township computer plan, or program that the auditor will talk more about. And that's, like I said, everything was pretty much covered in that grassroots report. Any questions on that? It's a very enjoyable thing. We learned a lot. I covered just the highlights because most of it is in that grassroots report. Any questions on the convention that I'll try to answer? Hearing none, let's go on to the township assessor discussion. I told Emily that I wouldn't do this, but I am gonna do it anyway. Okay, Emily, you got the floor.
Hello, I have just a couple things for you. For those townships that have not gotten with Betty for their equalization times, the meetings, townships are the 13th. So if you could get Betty your time for your township's equalization meeting. If the county is doing your assessing, you still need to hold your equalization meeting. So if you have any questions on that, you can get in touch with me. But Betty does need the time. She'll be placing an ad for those. Okay? And a reminder for county equalization, a representative from the township and the assessor need to attend the county equalization also. And that's if there's that's in the Century Code, but that's if there's questions on why changes were made or approved and so forth. There's a little more insight into that. Okay, I've had a few people contact me about Central Plains and what's gonna be happening with that, and the county is in contact with Crown Appraisals to have them come out. Central Plains 5-year exemption is up. So we do have someone coming out to value that. And I just wanna thank everyone. I'm on my way with being done here with Griggs County. So thank you for working with me, for all your help and being patient with me. I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions of Emily? Now's your chance, people. Hearing none, we'll go on to the auditor Samantha Moss, is it? See, and now you'll find out about this computer program.
Okay, so I was asked to get you guys some information about this computer program. We contacted a gentleman, his name was Marty Vista, and he kind of went through the program a little bit with us. It would be $800 for the whole program, and what he had said is that the county would pay for it, and then the townships would pay the county. So then we just have to figure out how many of you guys are wanting to pursue that, I guess. I did bring the information here. It's in the back table for it, and then a sign-up sheet to see if you guys would be interested. Please put your name and if you would be interested on that, and so then I can know that you guys got the information. If you're not interested, please put no as well, just so that I know. When I talked to Marty and when I looked over the information, it seemed like it's pretty easy to follow, so I don't think you would have much problems, but.
What is it for?
The budget programs, it would help with doing budgets and stuff like that, is kind of what I got out of it. It would just help the budget process, I think.
Isn't it the whole GL?
I don't know, you would have to go through the program. That's kind of all the information that I got. So, but all the program stuff is back there, so you can kind of read through it, I
Well,
guess.
what I had read about it earlier was that you put in your expense and it would categorize it into the categories, and then it's gonna be the same for everybody. You know, we would all know exactly where that expense is supposed to go then,
Okay,
which I think would be nice for the.
right.
I think you are right, the one, I think it does categorize everything.
And then it does your annual report for you too, which anybody who had to do that by hand would probably sign up right away.
What if you don't do computer?
Any other questions on this program? It's something new, and I myself, I'm treasurer of Clearfield, and I would like to see something simpler than what we're doing. I really would. You have a question?
What's the timetable? How long do you have to decide?
There is no timetable. It can be done anytime. Now would be a good time to do it because you're just, well, you all should be finished with the clerk treasurer for this year. But you're just starting in 2015 on this one. So it'd be a good time to go into it, I think. We don't know at this point if we only get, say, 5 townships, if we have to share the full 800 or what, but that'll be found out later, I'm sure. questions or comments on this?
Is that a one-time fee then?
Yeah, that's a one-time fee.
How often does it have to be updated though, and then there'll be another charge?
Can't answer it. Unless Sammy knows, unless
I
somebody.
don't have that information, no.
That's something that can be found out, however, if we wanna go that way. I realize that this is something new and maybe we should take a little easier on going into it. What's your wishes? We don't need a motion or anything. Go with what the individual townships wanna do and we'll take it from there. Go ahead, Marla. Yeah.
I have a question first, Samantha. Did you find in here, is this compatible with the software that the county uses?
I don't know. I could look into that.
It's supposed to be, as the way I understand,
With the Governsoft?
yeah.
It doesn't say, I was just reading the letter.
Okay.
But you had a question on upgrades, Arla?
Yeah.
It just says in here that, you know, obviously there will be upgrades from time to time. And there may be charges for upgrades. And if there are major release changes, like a total rewrite of the software, then you have to make the decision whether you're gonna stay on the version you're on or purchase the new version.
Okay.
So going forward, I think you would be able to make those decisions as you go.
Any other questions or comments? I don't want to cut this discussion short because I think it's a very important program. If no questions, I will just leave it and there's a sign-up sheet back there, Betty, I believe,
Yes.
or that. And,
Should I pass it? That would be the
yeah, I'll
easiest way.
pass it around.
This is the
If you're
sheet.
interested, sign up for this and you'll get back.
Start it over here.
Okay. Next, we were supposed to have District 3 Albert Purpose. But we have Martin Shipley here instead. So Martin, the floor is yours. Anything you want to talk about? He is District 2 Director.
Al's also busy. We had a meeting yesterday in Bismarck. He participated in that through Skype. So I volunteered to come down here and be a part of this meeting. So I'm out of Ramsey County. I live in Poplar Grove Township. I'm a supervisor. I'm a District 2 officer for the state. My question is, how are your annual meetings? How did they turn out, first of all? Any new officers in here? Has the turnout's been good?
Once you get the job, you got it for life.
Okay, I've heard that before. Well, good, I'm glad you're good then. I did not bring any handbooks, I apologize for that, I forgot. I came back from Bismarck this morning, back in the Dells Lake and then down here. Just a couple reminders, a couple of mistakes we've made in Ramsey County is we haven't notified, or we have notified the Journal, but some of our townships have chosen to use a different date than the 17th this year, or the third Tuesday always of the year. So hopefully you guys are able to do that third Tuesday. And if you can't, then there's a proper way to reschedule it. And it's in your green handbook. And it's under 580419, special meeting when officers are not elected at an annual meeting. So that'll help you correct if officers are not able to attend your annual meeting. I sent this out, dear township officer, that came from Mr. Ken Yancey when he was the executive secretary, reminding our townships that third Tuesday is so important. Any other meeting day, the state considers it an illegal day. So that's why, do this day And if you can't, then here's the way to correct it, so that you can still conduct your annual meeting.
What's it posted on that state?
This one is in section 580419. And then this information is also in 580401. So-
Maybe I can stop you right there. How many of you stayed on the third Tuesdays of March? Anybody
We had
change it to
one
anything
on the
else?
third Tuesday.
Try to change it?
Didn't realize there was an option.
Well, I didn't either until just now.
Yeah.
Some of them tried, and I said, you've got to stay on that date, because I got several calls on that, so.
And just to clarify, so I don't goof anybody up here, it has to be advertised on that third Tuesday. So you have the people form there. But then at that point, when you call the meeting to order and there's not enough people there to vote, then you reschedule it using this procedure.
Oh, you do have to have it on.
Yes, you have to stay on that third Tuesday. Don't let me goof you up. And that's,
But you
that's
can-
right here, you know, you can find that information on 580401. It's on page 222.
So
Third
if you-
Tuesday, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So if you did not have elections on this third, then you need to reschedule it and do it, because you didn't have your officers there, so that there was no election.
Correct, that's what happened in the township where I reside,
Okay.
Poplar Grove. I went to, I'll tell you about another one next, but that night at 5:30, all of a sudden, there was nobody there. So I'm texting people, what's the deal? Work conflicts, blah, blah, blah. So, we're gonna reschedule ours for March 31st. I'm gonna advertise it, I'm gonna let the auditor know, we're gonna do it in the paper. I'm gonna post it, and then we're gonna meet out at Lakeview Lodge, where we're having this meeting, and we're gonna have our annual meeting. And then we'll take the minutes, and it'll just all be good. In case there's one resident within my township that says, hey, what's the deal? And then all of a sudden, then the AG's calling me because I didn't do it properly. So, if you just follow this, and then use this as a backup if you need to, because you cannot do it on that third Tuesday. We're just following the green book. Keep it simple. Everybody's happy. Any other questions?
Does that also say how many people you have to have at an annual meeting?
Just for your voting, does it say? The township's meeting is not held at the time fixed by law. A special meeting for that purpose must be called by the clerk. Such meeting must take place in the township or an adjacent township. If such notice is not given by the clerk within 10 days, any of the 3 electors from the township can take that responsibility. There must be a notice of the time, the place, and the object of the meeting, published 5 days prior to the meeting in the legal newspaper in the township, or if there is no such newspaper, then in the county's official newspaper. The electors, when assembled by virtue of such notice, shall possess all the powers conferred upon the electors at the regular annual township meeting.
Yeah, but what constitutes enough people for voting purposes? Your township might be different than mine.
Right, we have like 3. Some have, 3 or 5 are our choices, right? You can have 3 supervisors, 5.
But he wants to know how many people have to be there for the quorum.
Well, it depends if you have 5 officers or 3. You gotta have a quorum, right? So if I have 3,
No.
but I was the only one there, so I couldn't have a quorum, I couldn't have a vote.
So if just the officers are there, that's enough?
No, then the people vote also. The officers are just electors at the
Yeah,
annual
but
meeting.
you gotta get the people there. We wanna know, I know Dan has the same problem. We had the board and 2 more people, but a lot of times it's just the board, 3 supervisors and myself as the clerk treasurer.
Okay.
Is that
Is that
legit?
illegal?
So then
Meeting.
it would be, yes, but at my particular meeting I was describing, we didn't have enough people. I was a lone soldier there. So, but yeah, all your officers that are here now, then you would just be an elector at that. There's no other business, it's just during the annual meeting part of it. Am I confused? Anybody?
So you can you vote and elect new officers if you only have the 3 supervisors and the clerk there? Is it legal to have an election at an annual meeting if only the 3 supervisors and the clerk are there? No other public people?
Okay, let me give you an example. So, the one in South Minnewaca that took place that afternoon in Ramsey, they had a huge turnout. So, they had the chairman there, the clerk appointed a moderator, and the moderator appointed 3 judges to check the residency within the township. So really, the clerk is either in charge of it, or if there isn't a clerk, or if the clerk cannot appoint a moderator, then the clerk has to run the show, because he's in charge of the annual meeting. None of the officers are, the way I understand it.
Mark, you're still not answering. I don't think you're answering the question yet.
Is it important to vote to have for the officers? 3 is 2 and 5 is 3?
Well, in our township, 2 of the 3 would make a quorum.
Right, that's what they want to know, 1 over half.
Over half, yeah. Sorry. Leave it alone.
It has to be cleared up, thank you.
Yeah. So, is that good? Chairman calls it to order.
Go ahead.
Turns it over to the clerk. The clerk asks for a moderator from the crowd, if there's enough people there. And if there isn't, then the clerk will ask for hopefully judges to count these darn ballots. And then the election continues.
In other words, if there's 3 people there, you got it made, because you can,
Yeah.
if there's a vote, 2 people are gonna vote one way or the other.
Yeah.
So you can,
Let's see, yes. Is that what you have in yours? Three.
things are sometimes pretty slim at these meetings.
All right. So, any other questions on that? I'll stick around after this, in case I screwed you up. So let me tell you a little bit about this up in South Minnewaca, just for your information. So South Minnewaca, which is just east of Devil's Lake, they had a hot topic up there that involved zoning. They wanted, along Highway 2, they wanted to take some land out of ag and they wanted to do a commercial zoning right along 2. Well, some of it didn't go so well, and all of a sudden we're having an election and one person is leaving the township and another one's up for re-election. So now all of a sudden there's 4 people gonna run for these 2 supervisors' chairs because it's getting hot. So believe it or not, the one guy left and the incumbent got beat, and there's 2 new chairs as supervisors now. The voting was 62, 58, 54, and 51. They had over 113 people vote.
That's more people than we have.
Anyway, I just wanted to share with you because I was like, it's like, wow. So yeah, I was told that they were out soliciting voters to go and vote. So rezoning, I called Mr. Moe, our legal counsel. He reminded me to tell these officers, that's on this board, to keep their personal conflicts personal and do what's best for the township. So I did my best to relay that to them, and they held the election in the basement of the courthouse, and everything went okay. Another hot topic by an unhappy resident at one of their meetings was that one of the supervisors that was up for re-election was generating more than that statute of limits of 40,000 to get the farmstead exemption. So if you have, just be aware that this is being talked about in Bismarck now, and it was brought up last night by Craig Hedall and Wayne Trottier. The state's looking around, they're asking and checking on ag people, so just be aware. Mr. Yantis retired from NDTOA. Tom Moe commented that he He was working with Ken back in 1985. Ken is still in Brockett. He'll be celebrating his 71st birthday in May on the 21st. Larry Severson is our new executive secretary. He has been in Bismarck since the 64th session started. We have an apartment there for him. You're aware of the surge bill. That's here, 2103. The money was dispersed on 3/6 of March.
It's a done deal.
Yes.
That-
10,000 per township. Griggs County will receive 200,000. The townships will get 10,000 each, and it was distributed on 3/6. Another bill, Senate Bill 2195 passed, and that will increase that special fund amount that we already have of 30,000. It's going to allow us, it was approved to increase it to $100,000. So the Board of Supervisors at any time of an annual township meeting upon resolution may transfer or set aside a part of any and all funds into a special road fund, which must be used for separate and distinct, which fund must be separate and distinct from all other funds. So here we go. The special road fund may not exceed the sum of $100,000 for any township. The special road fund may be expended at the option of the Board of Supervisors for the purpose of road construction, graveling, snow removal, or surfacing. So that was a good thing for us, for all the townships that.
What's the number?
2195. And then the other hot topic is SB 2054, the assessor bill. Make sure you contact Don, let him know we're against it. We agree at the state level, representing all the townships, that there might be some work needed in some areas of assessing. There's been some stuff uncovered that was brought up yesterday about, it's a bad word, but favoritism. And we can't be doing that anymore, but we're against it. We want to keep it local, and hopefully when you guys contact these people like Don, let them know how we feel.
Is that gonna work, or are we gonna have more piled onto the assessors that we have?
Well, it's all about that classroom time right now, the 180, is it 180 hours that they were trying to make mandatory? We don't know that that's really the answer. We want it maybe scaled back according to the meeting last night. But we're just trying to keep it locally and then apply the areas of concern and what needs to be fixed in the areas where, you know, the assessing maybe isn't being done properly.
Back to that one on that $100,000, what was that, a House bill or a Senate bill?
That came through as SB 2195, if you look at it online. You can print this off just like I did. Next, okay, well, when Mr. Edlin and Trier showed up last night at 6 during the meeting, they were concerned also. They were just asking the officers at the state level if they feel the assessing is being done in their townships properly, and everybody said yes. Now, they briefly talked about the oil pan, the property tax relief that will be ending. We're gonna get it now, but based on oil, it'll probably come to a close. Craig Hedlund brought up that farm exempt tax again, and he's trying to figure out a way that'd be fair for all the property tax that's being paid by ag people on their land. If their house was to be included, what would be a fair? The word fair was mentioned by Craig, so you can get a hold of him too. The list of 2015 standing committees is out. I need your help. I'm the chairman of that. We'll need to pass out some awards at the annual meeting. Our vice president informed us last night, Mr. Ron Tufte, that he will no longer be filling the position of vice president. His term will expire at the annual meeting because he was not re-elected in his township. So I'll take nominations for that position also as for Vice President of NDTOA if there's any interest. Al wanted me to mention that State Surplus still has their website with a phone number, nd.gov/surplus. There's a phone number on the website for townships if you're looking for equipment. Also, if you've been on our site, ndtoa.com/discussion forum, it's very helpful. You can go in there and look at questions that are being asked by people like yourself from any parts of the state. You can throw an initial in if you want. There's a moderator that will answer your question, and he'll refer you to the green book on what section it's under, and hopefully answer your questions. It's cool. Al commented that the Highway 2 out west, highways are supposed to have a 15-year life expectancy. DOT figures are going to get 6 to 7 years out of that one. All bills are being trimmed. Any new bills are being killed. Any new buildings are on hold as far as higher ed. The UND Medical Center will continue based on 50% completion. Our annual meeting for NDTOA will be in Minot this year on December 7th and 8th. That's what I brought.
Any questions on Mark?
Do the townships have to fill out that online thing that the clerks had to do for the,
Upper Griggs claims.
well, it was a tax or budget or whatever.
I believe it's the 31st is the deadline on that. Don't know if somebody hasn't.
That's gotta be done.
31st of March, yeah, still. I'll mention that too.
He mentioned that we can use the summary,
Yeah,
or summary instead of that.
you have a copy of it.
Okay, no.
That one sheet summary of our income and expenses that we give to Sam, that can be sent to the Transportation Institute instead of the form that they tell us to fill out. That became a law a couple years ago.
Well,
Usually done by the clerk, is that correct?
Yes.
you can just send the summary sheet instead of filling that out.
The one that we fill out, it suffices instead of their sheet. And Sam and Lori are gonna send them in, right?
Yeah.
Just give her your.
Okay, so they'll take care of it for us. That's going on.
Any more questions on Mark? Thank you.
Yes. A little rough on the start, I probably did. I'm gonna hang out the back. Yeah, thank you.
Wayne, you're up next on your road update.
Probably do it right from here. Just before the meeting, Arlen handed me the sign retro reflectivity guidebook. That's what he was talking about. There are some dates where you have to have a sign program set up. 2012, actually, we're supposed to establish a sign maintenance program that addresses the minimum reflectivity requirements. If your signs are still in good reflectivity, even though they're the engineer grade, that's what we used to use. You can still use them, but they would, I think it's by 2015, which is now, they want you to comply with the new reflectivity requirements. They have a reflectometer that can go up and measure the reflectivity of the sign, and that's like about $10,000, so we don't have one of them. But you can also set up that you're gonna go out and drive around and check your signs in the evening or something when it's dark out. See how they are. One way you can do that is to put a new sign up in, say, somebody's yard and use that as a guide. All they're asking is, use your own judgment on that as far as, how does it compare to a new sign? And then by 2015, they want all red and white signs, which is your stop and your yield signs, speed limit signs, yellow warning signs, that's your curves and corners and intersections, and the green and white guide signs, which you guys don't have, but we have the 911 signs, which are the new reflectivity facing on them. By 2018, all agencies must comply with the new reflectivity requirements for overhead guide signs and all street, well, there's the street view signs. This is your book, right?
Yeah.
There is a CD in here. I don't know if you can send in for this book, but there's a CD in here that's got a toolkit that kind of shows you how to set up your program and to keep it up, give you ideas of what to do. I know there are some townships that are replacing their signs, and if you guys don't have the means of putting them up, we can probably, you can hire us to put the sign posts in at each of the signs and the posts. You can talk to me about the sizes of it. That's what we're gonna do in Lenora Township. They've got the signs and everything, so they don't have we have an electronic impact wrench that we can drive them in with. So we should work on that. We purchased, Griggs County purchased a sign program, which we put onto we have an iPad, we have a GPS that's Bluetooth to that iPad. I had 2 or 3 guys would go out each day this winter when we weren't plowing snow, and they put all the signs on that iPad, drive up alongside of the sign, you type up, you bring up a page that has all your, which way it's facing, the height, what sign it is. We took a picture of the sign. The picture of the sign is attached to that individual page, and we have 500 and some signs on the county roads that they logged into the iPad. So from now on, and they also rated whether the post was good or bad, or the sign was faded or torn. We have replaced a bunch of signs already, but we've got a lot more to put up. So that's about it on the signs. I see on our minutes from last year, we were gonna look into some guidelines and permits for drainage ditches and stuff in the ditch, and Jamie and I are still working on that. We haven't got it completed yet. Just mentioned about the 10,000 per township under the legislatures. Griggs County, we got not quite as much as we got last time in 2013. We have some projects that we're working on that we're going to bring forth. We have a meeting on the 25th at Cass County shop, and there we'll discuss with the Southeast District which projects that we want to put forth. They'll be voted on by the district at that time, all the other counties. And this year there are some other, some criteria that makes it a little bit harder for us, but they want, it's the truck path generators such as gas plants, agriculture plants, elevators, many different things, school bus routes, roadway tiers, connectivity with the state and county, say an adjoining county, a road that would connect up to that. They want any work we do to be upgraded from 80,000 pound, which is the state law, to 105.5 if we can. That's one of the things that you attach to that money. So how that will affect it, I don't know. We've got some graveling to do. County Road 26 we graveled this year. That's from the 1358 monies. And then we've got, we're thinking about County Road 3 from the blacktop south of Sutton to the county line. That's one project possibility. And there's 3 other ones. There's a grade raise west of Vincent, but that would not be 105.5 after we got done, so I don't think that would probably meet that criteria, but we have to prove then some other ways that the necessity for that project. Of interest to a couple townships in here, I've been talking to David Johnson from Burlington Northern Santa Fe. I know we discussed it before, that wooden overhead bridge by Dennis Haugens. They would like to tear that out of there. They don't think it's for one person, which basically that it justifies the cost to replace it. So, and then the other one is the over by Bob Campbell's, that wooden overhead bridge there too. I requested a concrete bridge, but they were too willing. But he was gonna check in with the state and see if there's some funding there that they can get, and federal money. Otherwise, they would like to close some other crossings, you know, just a little ways east of that wooden overhead. There's a road like that where the train crosses both township roads there, and it's very hard to see when you're coming from behind on an angle. Something we haven't decided. I said if we did go forward with the commissioners, would have to probably decide first, and then we'd have to have public meetings and stuff to discuss it to see what the people thought about that. So the free New Holland tractor lease ran out, it's no longer available, but the Association of Counties was able to put a deal together with John Deere, and where we could lease a tractor for a per hour basis, and we are pursuing that. So we sent in a request for a tractor to for implement. They put the order in, and it won't be here until July, probably the end of June or July. But that we'll be able to have for a year instead of have it for 6 months. And so kind of excited about that. I think that's about all I have. If there's any questions or anything, anybody? Go ahead, Troy.
If we were to agree to put in those two crossings, would they then put signals and cross arms in there?
Yes.
They would, okay.
That's what they would say. They would probably, I said, well, there's more traffic there by Aldo Hoggins, really, but,
Yeah.
you know, and there should have been cross arms there, you know, but it's something that they'd be willing to work with. On those type of a deals, I think I don't know if it's the state that pays for 90% of those projects or 80%, and then the local would have to pay the rest. They said they would be able to pay the matching if that solution was.
Because the state ones, I mean, you apply for that, and you may or may not receive the funding based on the traffic count.
Right, yep. They would have to, but he said, well, I've got